how many years as a young lawyer you are going to use that kind of a building? Assume you are like 25 years old, or you are 30 years old, and perhaps you end up living up to 80 years. You would have used that building for not less than 55 years. But you can see the senior members who their use of that particular building is not that much, are more than eager to pay. We are building a building for our well-being. We are ensuring that as a society we are able to become independent, and we are saving ourselves the cost of renting a building. I know this. When we started my organization, Lawyers Environmental Action Team, we were one of the first NGOs to buy our own building. I know that, and it saved us a lot. Even during the financial difficulties, you are able to sail through. So many other organizations came up and bought their buildings. Now, also as a matter of prestige and esteem, you have your house. And as my advocate Maeda said, we cannot just stop at saying we are going to only have just one building. This is the Dar es Salaam headquarters. We are talking about the chapters. Likewise, we are talking about having our conference facility. The amount of money that we are spending for this kind of meetings is no joke. And if you are cost sensitive, we have to think big. That's why at the end of my presentation, I cannot finish it without quoting, the words of a Nobel laureate and an Oscar winner. This is an Irish Nobel laureate who lived almost for 95 years, for 94 years. He said, there are those that look at things the way they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not. Why not Tanganyika Law Society to have our own building? Why not Tanganyika Law Society to have our chapters offices? Why not Tanganyika Law Society to have our conference building or facility? And why we as members cannot contribute towards the construction of those facilities? Asante.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Nshala. I hope members, for those 4,000 or so members who still have not contributed on the one go to LAC, it is that much. Charles is looking at me and frowning. It is really that much. Please come forward and contribute. You know, as I said earlier this morning, I'm not going to sit on a governing council that's going to use a stick over its own membership. We want you to look into your souls and to build your society. It is your society. It's all our society. Thank you. We are now going to, before we break for lunch, because we will be breaking for lunch in the next 5 minutes, we will be inviting one of our sponsors to address us. AHQ, please come up to address us. AHQ, representative, thank you.
Good afternoon, esteemed members. Just a moment, I'm waiting for the presentation to come up. Okay. So I come from AHQ Consultancy, and I stand before you here today to address you about a new platform that has been developed to facilitate certain aspects of legal services. It's called eSharia, and very briefly, it starts with the notion of access to justice, And basically what the founders of this platform noted is that the majority of Tanzanians, who are standing now at around 59 million, do not have access to the 3,000 or so practicing advocates. And this is a new product. It has not even launched yet, but this is a pre-launch engagement for us. We thought we'd come and talk to the service providers of legal services in Tanzania, mostly this being advocates, to ask them to consider looking at some of our services and seeing how we can collaborate. Essentially, this product, eSheria, is a platform that allows the multi-dimensional interaction between service providers of legal services, being advocates, and clientele, as well as those that are in training and institutions of learning towards a career in legal services. What we looked at was access to justice. That was the starting point. And from there we realized that there aren't enough practitioners to go around. I think the number roughly corresponds to about 16,000 individuals per practicing advocate. And as such, we decided to use technology, or to consider technology as a potential solution to how we can reach more people in Tanzania and allow access to justice. Now, this platform allows service providers to access a market, the broad spectrum of the market of Tanzanian citizens, who are now standing at around 59 million. Of those, I think 40 million are subscribed to these mobile telephone networks, MNOs, and they have, of these that are subscribed, approximately 84% have access to mobile internet services, and about a total of 94% of all Tanzanians have access to some sort of mobile technology, at least the basic SMS-enabled phones. So what we did is we tried to think of how we can reach these Tanzanians and give them access to legal services. It turns out that for most people, especially if you look at, for instance, farmers, who are the majority of people in this country, just basic legal knowledge, to the extent that they wouldn't know a new levy had been introduced for a particular crop, or basically how they might be able to recover from an agent who had swindled them, and so on. So we decided to use SMS as a way to distribute knowledge to these people so that they can know better where they stand. And the way this works is that it uses the technology of request, and then all payments are electronic. For individuals, we just looked at areas that will have maximum impact, so things like probate, family law, and so on. Traffic offenses, those have become quite frequent in recent days. Things to do with debt recovery, income tax, and so on. And then, so these are for individual clients, landed property and other areas. For businesses, we looked at access to legal services which most Tanzanian business cannot afford. So we decided to find a way to streamline access and optimization of certain services that can go directly to companies and SMEs in Tanzania. So for small businesses, the things that matter to them, intellectual property and so on. And very quickly, we looked at also strategic sectors. So on our platform, one would be able to access either on a topical basis or using a sector-specific approach. So if you're in the business of cashew nut, for instance, in Twara, you would know that you'd go to the agro section of the platform on your mobile phone and be able to know whatever information you needed, whether seeds that were banned perhaps by the relevant regulator, and so on. So we looked at many sectors. We also looked at civil society. They can use our platform as a way to channel some of their advocacy activities and outreach programs to reach the majority of Tanzanians. So we provide a platform where these things can come together. What does this mean for advocates? There's a long-standing sort of adage which says that advocates and technology don't go very well, but we find that in recent days this is not the truth. Technology is complementary. It's going to add to the resource, and advocates have to appreciate that they are a legal resource which is provide the necessary sustainability, as opposed to these aid programs where someone wakes up the next day and stops. But just to conclude, very quickly, we don't have enough time. We have a booth out there. We're going to offer